realize one day at a time. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. They're here to get your day going fine. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. And here's your host, Miss Kim Robinson.
Hi, this is Apostle Dawn Westbrook. Join me on Shabbat Saturday here at Elation Radio at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we Shabbat the Lord and declare the word of the Lord over your life for this hour. Shalom.
Took me a while to get to this place. I'm so glad I'm in this space, accepting all my flaws, embracing authenticity, 'cause there's nobody quite like me. Oh, I like being me. Who I'm created to be, original, not to copy. I'm gonna tap on these, to love again. Gonna celebrate this life, walking who am I supposed to be, refuse to give up on me. To love again. Gonna celebrate this life, walk and live by. Every trial that came my way, I was searching for a brighter day. That day finally here. That day finally here. Through life's struggles, ups and downs, I'm so glad that I have found love that's unconditional. Yeah, all I went through prepared me. All God wanted me to be. I'm gonna tap on these, to love again, love me again, celebrate this life, walking who am I supposed to be, refuse to give up on me. To love again, to love me alone, celebrate this life, walk in liberty. Oh, it's incredible. This joy is unspeakable. Living life with no regrets. Each blessing was a blessing. I'm gonna tap on these, love again, celebrate this life, walking who am I supposed to be, refuse to give up on me. To love again, celebrate this life, walk and live. I'm gonna clap, 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 learning to love all over again, celebrate this life. I'm gonna, yeah, clap, 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 clap for me, celebrate this life for me, learning to love me over and over again, yeah, clap, clap, clap. I'm gonna celebrate me, celebrate this life. I dream to big, yeah, oh yeah, clap, clap, clap. Gonna celebrate this life, walk and live. Gonna give my life,
Happy Saturday, happy Saturday, happy Saturday, and thank you for joining Next Level with Trenace. I am so happy that you are spending 60 minutes, give or take, of your 1,440 minutes of your Saturday with me. Today's guest is Carrie Irene Crosby. Carrie, are you there in the studio with us? Okay. Hello, Carrie, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me now?
Thank you for joining me this Saturday.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure. I'm planning to have a good time.
Yeah, so I know my guests are going to love you based on our conversation. I don't protest. I don't boycott.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Mm-hmm.
my addition to community. Next
Right.
level. So, Ms. Carrie, why don't you share a little bit about yourself with my listeners?
Absolutely. Well, like she said, my name is Carrie Irene Crosby, and it is an absolute pleasure to be here today. I am the BFF coach, the one and only BFF coach, because what I do is I'm a certified professional self-development coach, but my passion is specializing in showing individuals how to be their own best friend first. So that BFF is not best friends forever, it's best friend first. And that's what I like to show individuals so that we can get back to the root and we can make better decisions based on what we truly want and what we truly care about, and not the expectations and things that other people have put on us. So that is my passion. That's who I am, and that is what I do.
That is super dope. You say you are the BFF coach, teaching people,
yes.
not just women, but teaching us all how to be our own best friend. And when you can be your own best friend, you can make better choices that impact those people, places, and things that you touch directly and indirectly. That's cool.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's so important. I think that's why a lot of times we do find ourselves in not necessarily bad situations, but frustrating situations, and it's because we've gotten away from what really pleases our soul, and we're too focused on what's pleasing the person that's standing beside us.
That's we can do a couple of shows about that.
Right, a whole series, girl.
Exactly. So when we spoke earlier today, I have to tell you that Carrie's energy, man. That's all as my daughter would say, your energy. I was like, I'm so glad that I'm going to be able to share you, my new BFF, with all of my listeners.
Yes.
Now you have a. I want to actually talk about your coaching program that's going to be coming up, because I think it's really great, especially coming. We're still in pandemic mode at this point. Most of us have been in the house. If we were doing like we were told, we've been in the house at least since March,
right.
Protecting ourselves, washing our hands, covering our mouths, wearing masks, doing all of that good stuff. And I hope that everybody got some perspective about some things, because God didn't shut down your city, your town, your state, your country, but He shut down the whole world. He put all of us on pause
the
for
whole
us to get
shebang.
back to. Yes, no doubt about that. So that's forced us to look at our relationships, our workspace, our business ideas. It's impacted us at that level to make us look at things different perspectives. So let's talk about what you have going on, possibly the end of the year or the first of the year.
Absolutely. Yeah, so what I am putting together is a course or workshop, if you will, but it will be in two forms. It will be in a live form, where it would be like a kind of an online virtual, learning course. And then I also will sell the recording of that with the booklet and the modules that we will be using actively during the course afterwards. So, it'll be two different price points, still playing around with that. But what it is called is the 1 degree. Because one of the reasons I feel like that we don't move and we don't go forward, we get overwhelmed, or we get emotionally, socially, technologically frozen and just paralyzed, because we see the big picture, but we try to do the whole picture at one time. And as we were talking earlier in our conversations, one of the ways I described it is a painting. When you
Right.
are painting something, and most people have a backdrop when it comes to painting, even if that backdrop is your imagination and you're simply painting what you visualize in your head, either way, we have something that we want to create and we see what it is we want to create. But what we fail to really admit to ourselves is that painting will only get done one brush stroke at a time. There is not two, there's not three. You can even hold 5 paintbrushes in your hand to create the illusion that you're doing 5 brush strokes. But your emotion, your part, is one stroke at a time. So when we break that down, we release ourselves from so much responsibility of creating an entire thing, and we can break that down to one brush stroke at a time, so that we won't get so overwhelmed and get ahead of ourselves. And then, we end up skipping steps. We're trying to do the microwave routine. But if we just take our time, what's that song back in the day? Take your time, do it right. That is how we have to do with life. We just kind of have to back away, So, or the saying, you can't see the forest for the trees. We let things just crowd us and suffocate us to the point that we don't move at all. But really what we only need to do is what's next. So that's what the whole course and workshop is going to be about. It's just figuring out, first of all, everything, just dump it out, look at it, sort it, and figure out which one is the next best step. And that's all we have to do. And when that one's complete, then we move to the next best step.
Well, sometimes we fail to move at all because we expect it to look a certain way, feel a way, smell a way, feel a way. We expect all of that. And then sometimes we don't do a thing at all. And then my favorite is, I'm waiting on God. So my thing when I'm waiting on God is, I believe in God. I believe in God's Father, God's Son, God the Holy Spirit. I believe in all of that. But the other part of that is when we operate in our natural ability and God sees us moving, He's going to add His part on it. So waiting on God has nothing to do with I'm going to sit here, sitting in my room and wait for it to happen. It's the pursuit of finishing that painting at one stroke at a time.
Right. Absolutely. Because, that reminds me of the story of Abraham and Isaac when he had to move in order to find where it was, because God told him he had to go sacrifice his son, but he didn't tell him exactly where to go. He just told him to move. He said, when you get there, you'll know it. But in order for you to get there, in order for you to know it, it's that journey from A to B that you collect wisdom, you collect awareness, you collect experiences that shape you and builds your muscle, so that when you get to where you're going, you're ready and you're prepared and you're willing and you're already in the mindset of accepting direction, because you're moving in the direction that God tells you to go. But the key word is you move. Who? You. You have to move. And you know what I mean? You can't wait for God to provide direction before you go. You have to move, and He will guide you. It's about guidance, not necessarily a scroll of instructions sometimes. And that was one of the things that I really wanted to talk about today, and I'm so glad you touched on it before I even got to it, is the expectations that we put on ourselves. And those, because there's 3 main things that I feel like we need to really release. And the first one is expectations. Because we get these things in our heads, the way life's supposed to be, the way life is supposed to go, the way life is supposed to feel, all those things that you mentioned earlier. But what we do when we get our expectations in our head, and it's not to say God didn't show you a vision, but again, when you move, that vision moves with you, which means it changes as well. So when we get something in our head, and it's not the way we want it, we're sitting here trying to tweak it ourselves, it's almost as if we're looking over God's shoulder. That's not our business. We are the action piece. We're supposed to move. But what it's supposed to look like, you're not going to know until it's complete. So stop trying to tweak it before it is. Because if that's the case, God's just sitting back saying, okay, you're going to do it? Go ahead then. I'll let you do it. I'll let you do it.
Exactly, that part right there. And so many of us, when we want to do it ourselves, and I say us with a capital US, meaning M-E, when we want to do, we want it now. We want it to look like the way we want it to look because we want it to feel like the way that we want it to feel. And I'm
Right.
guilty of that.
Same.
Not as much now as I was before, but I think that's a part of human nature and wanting to control things because I'm a control thing person. I like to control things.
Right.
I like to know what's going on, and sometimes we gotta just make the decision. So look, I'm gonna I'm not gonna wait because I'm also a perfectionist. I'm not gonna wait till it looks perfect because it's never gonna look perfect to me. But it's gonna be good. So I'm gonna just go. Just go with what I got, and things will fall into place. And I don't know how anybody else's life has worked out, but for me, I have made some crazy, stupid decisions. And then I've decided to just go with it the way that it is, and it just works out better just going with how it is because sometimes you just can't fix it on your own. You just have to go with it, let God fix it the way He's going to fix it, and it's going to work out a whole lot better than what you had. But it's that degree of decision.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
degree that you talk, it's about that degree of decision, period.
Right. Yeah, and that's exactly what it's about, and the key word being decision, because the decision is ours. And one of the things that you talked about, which I think a lot of us have gone through, some more than others, but at some point in time for sure, is that we don't want to relinquish control over a situation or a person sometimes, or a place or work or whatever it is. We don't want to relinquish control. But when you go back to the root of the releasing those expectations, it gets so cliche. People say, turn that frown upside down, or it's the two sides of the same coin, or, things that, there's always an opposite, a polar opposite. All you got to do is choose to be happy. And that sounds so cliche and so ridiculous sometimes, especially when we're in the midst of that emotion of really not wanting to let go, and we really want to get this right, and we really want it to be perfect. But it's so true. You have to learn different definitions for what you feel. The word control has such a negative connotation to it, but it's really not a negative word if we use it in a positive way. We have to relinquish the expectations of what control even looks like, because what control really can be for you is creative control. What means you create your definition of what you control, because you don't need to control the situations and the outcome. What you do need to do is control what you do to affect the outcome. So if there is something that you need to do or be, whether it be diligent, whether it's just to show up, whether it's to make that phone call, whether it's to go to bed on time, whether it's to eat right, whether it's to talk to that person that you've been avoiding for the last 2 months, that's where we get our control. That's a positive way to control situations, is to control yourself, to make sure you are doing the things that are necessary for you to advance, for you to prosper, for you to be healthy, for you to be more communicative. Control those things. Because when we try to control outcomes and the how, and we put our little stinking human hands on it, because those things are up to something that's much bigger than us, And when we relinquish those expectations that we built up in our head based on our past experiences, we don't open ourselves up to new experiences. So relinquish control of the end game. Just know that today alone, I will do everything I need to do to get everything done that I need to get done. And that's the best kind of control you can have.
Yes. I think I'm going to put this on repeat, because sometimes we all need a reminder that we can't control everything. We need somebody to pull our coattail and say, hey, possibly doing.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, that's somebody in your circle. And I think I would rather somebody in my circle say, hey, that's
Right.
that's not what you're supposed to. I'd rather someone in my circle to say that
Yeah.
than God to say that. That's
Mhm.
just my thought. That's a whole
Right.
lot better
Same.
to me.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. I completely agree because that's that accountability piece. People say self-accountability. Well, I really think there needs to be somebody involved in that accountability because you need someone that's going to really give it to you straight. And sometimes we're looking for an excuse for ourselves. Just like today, there was a lot of things I need to do outside the house, and I was having some chest pains, and I was like, I think what I really need to do is rest. And I'm like, it's not like I'm going outside to play basketball and play street ball. I was just going to the coffee shop, but I was just making excuses
Right.
because I knew they were valid. My excuses were completely and 100% valid, but I couldn't let that stop me because I had made a commitment, and that I could control. I can't control what's going to happen when I get here. Say it again.
So what's crazy is, you and I talked about integrity. So what do you think you leaving the house was? You had already said something, so you had to keep your word on that, regardless of how you were feeling.
100%.
That's
100%.
Yeah. So, that's
yes, ma'am.
It is something.
Yeah.
It's something about keeping your word to other people. But how you keep how the best way to keep your word to other people is to learn how to keep your word to yourself. Learn how to be your own best friend, and then that's how you be the best friend of others.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm always talking to my BFF crew about how you got to push through. Sometimes you just got to push through. Now, not to the detriment of yourself. Now, there's a difference between pushing past your excuses and pushing past your limits. Those two different things. So please take care of yourself. If you feel like you do need that rest in that day, you can. But I just knew I looked inside of myself, and I knew it was an excuse today. And I was not trying to make no excuses today. Because, technically, like if this would have been a Zoom, a live call, I probably wouldn't have gone out because I knew I would have wanted to be, have my backdrop and have my lighting right. I have this with the radio thing. I'm sitting in my car right now, and it is quiet right now. Like there was no excuse that I could have possibly made not to be either here or at this coffee shop or supporting my friend that is putting on an event today. I did all of those things, and I'm doing all those things all right now. Why? Because I said I would. I knew I could. And no excuse was good enough for me not to. Because any excuse can be valid, but all of them sucked.
Well, yeah, it was quiet until King started barking. So that's all I got. It was.
It is all good.
I think I like the fact that you teach people to be their own best friend because, like I was saying to my son, he was saying, I just can't trust nobody. I just don't know who to trust. A lot of our issues that we project outwardly are based on internal situations.
Yep, amen. That is so very true.
I say that all the time. So what I said to him before he went out of my room and closed my door, because that's why King was barking. He doesn't like his big brother. So what I said to him is that when you can't trust others because you don't trust you. And he just looked, and I said, just think about it. Just feel that.
Right,
just feel that. And I say that because a lot of women that I have been around say, I can't trust women. Women are so catty. They're so conniving. But that's not been my experience with women. So my thought on that is, that's who you are, and you're projecting it on other women. So that's my thought. Because we don't know enough about ourselves that we can't connect the dots with us saying that out loud and putting it on someone else, and we don't connect it back to that star. Don't you remember those little connect the dot books, and it had the little star at the beginning or the end for you to meet it at the end and at the beginning. They don't know that that star goes back to them.
Right. Yeah, that is so true. And it's so funny. Let me ask you this. when you look into yourself and you see that you don't trust yourself, what do you think is the main cause of people not trusting themselves?
So I think that many times we make bad decisions.
Mhm.
You make bad decisions. And because we've
Right.
made these bad decisions, that's one way. But you may even have to take a deeper journey back past your bad decisions. Maybe you did
Mhm.
something younger that you were told that you were not trustworthy. Because I don't care
Right.
what anybody says. There are things that imprint on us when we are young, young. Small things
Mhm.
that we take no thought of, and that's our first little bag we pack when we're little. We put that little thing in the little
Yep.
bag, and then we keep on going through life, and we put the next little thing in the bag. Then next thing you know, we got a couple of bags, and we're 20, and we got more bags when
Mhm.
we're 30. And if we don't check those
Mhm.
bags, then this is what we get. We don't trust ourselves
Mm.
in our decision making. We don't trust ourselves making decisions with relationships when it comes to jobs. But we trust everybody else's word and their decision and what they think that we should do in regards to our lives. Now I know I said a lot,
Yep.
didn't I? I didn't even take a breath.
Hey, you said exactly enough, honey. You said exactly enough because exactly where you landed is exactly where I'm about to pick up. Because the second thing I wanted to talk about in that releasing series, the first one was release your expectations, and the second was release people. There are some people in our lives that we have got to release, and it connects directly to those expectations. We have to release the expectations that we have that things are going to be perfect, but we also have to release the expectations that other people put on us. Because when you said that, we can't trust we don't trust ourselves, but we're going around here trusting everybody else. Billy said to build this business. Jody said go to school. Frank said to start a hot dog stand. Susie said to cut my hair because it didn't look right. And all these people telling us all these things based on their life, what they like, and half of them making decisions for your life based on what other people told them about their life.
Yeah.
They're not even making their genuine decisions, yet they over here trying to help you make yours. So we build up this
Yeah.
residue of what other people say, and it's time we all exfoliate our lives and figure out who been telling us what that was not our decisions. So that doesn't mean you don't take advice. That doesn't mean that you don't make a decision based on what someone's educated guess is or hypothesis is for your life. That's not what that means. But what it means is when you make that decision, don't be lazy. Don't do it because they said it. Do it because they said it, you listened to it, you prayed about it, and you made a educated decision whether to take that advice or whether not to take that advice. Because it's, I listened to this thing, it was a TED Talk. I can't remember the lady's name, but she said relationships are a right-to-work state. If it don't work, it's got to go. Like you don't just keep your job just because you got a job. It's the same with relationships. You don't have to just keep people around. It doesn't mean you don't love them. It doesn't mean you don't care about them. But they always say, and I find it to be very true, we tend to act like, talk like, work like, earn the same, go as high as the people we keep closest to us. Now, that may hurt.
Yeah.
But that is pretty much the truth. And that's not to put anybody down that is around you, but the best way to lift people up around you is for you to go up. Because they'll do one
That's
or two
right.
things. What did you say that they'll do? They will do one or two things.
Fall in or fall off.
Boom. There you
fall
go.
in
There
or
you
fall
go.
off, man.
Amen, sis. I know you want to elaborate on that one.
Yeah, so the fall in or fall off part thing. I truly believe people are you have people in your life, whether they're in your immediate circle or we have several circles of our life, where there are people that are close to us and then there are people outside of that circle and then there are people outside of that circle. So we choose to move people in and out at different levels of our circle. And then when it ultimately comes down to it, whether they're in the inner circle or on the outer circle, wherever they are connected to you, they're going to either fall in and be a part of it, or they're going to fall off. Just period.
Amen.
And it has nothing to do with you. It's just that they're going to fall in or fall off. And it's not to your detriment. It's not anything that you do, but it's going to be beneficial, whichever they decide to do, and it's their decision.
Yeah.
And you don't change.
Exactly.
Just keep going.
That's it. And that is one. And, you know, a lot of people feel bad about having to let people go, or at least distancing themselves from people. But just don't look at it as you're losing someone. You just look at it as if because what you're doing is you're making room for other people that support you and are dreamers too. You know, it's not the exclusion of people, but it's the time management practices of scheduling opportunity and growth into your days by who you hang around. Because if they don't add from you, I promise you they're taken from you. Like, how many times have we looked down at our phone and seen Billy Bob's name, be like, "Oh Lord, I don't have the energy for this today." Why? Because you know they're gonna suck every bit that you got.
Yeah.
And
that's crazy because that's been our sermon that's been the sermon at church the past couple of weeks. People fuel. This week's memory verse is: plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed. So this speaks to accountability. You can't account to yourself. You can't be accountable to yourself. The fact that God created us, He created us as individuals, but He created us as individuals to connect to each other. We are not an island of our own, and that's why two is better than one. That's exactly why. And it's relationship, and it's not just romantic relationship. It's all relationships.
Yeah, it is all relationship. And it's like when you said, you know, God created us to relate to other people. And I'm sitting in my car right now, and I'm just looking out. It's such a beautiful day. I mean, this time of day is just, like, phenomenal. It's like the sun setting. Everything's so amber and bright. And I'm just looking at this tree. And I'm like, I can take that tree. This tree in front of me right now is thriving. It's beautiful. It's, you know, it's full of leaves. It's got moss growing on the side of it. But if I took that same tree and I put it in an environment that is not conducive to its growth, it will shrivel up and it will die. That's how we are as people. Our environments really mean a lot. Everybody's not meant to grow beside you because everybody's surroundings is not conducive to growth. And if you were meant to be in the desert and you thrive there, that's fine. If I'm meant to be in, you know, like the forest area, the rainforest, that's fine. But if I try to grow with the cactus, that's not going to work. And if the cactus try to go with me in the rainforest, that's not going to work. We have to make sure that the surroundings are conducive to what we want to see next. Not where we came from, but where we're going. And if it's not supportive of that, we need to change some things. We are creators. If we were made from the head honcho creator, we are many creators, and we are creators of our world and our environment. But we have to make better decisions. We have to make better decisions.
So, because we're talking about accountability, I was telling you earlier today that I was watching the Wu-Tang documentary on Showtime. So most people know that I love R&B, but I love all music. So Wu-Tang forever, y'all. So what was interesting to me, I have been trying to watch it for like days at a time, but I put it on when I go to sleep. But today I saw where RZA's brother Devon. I don't know if you saw, you know, if any of you saw. Hulu did I think a 10 series about Wu-Tang and how they started. But at any rate, Divine was saying that their mother always told him and RZA that there's a difference between wisdom and being smart. Wisdom is learning from someone else's mistakes. And smart is based on your own knowledge and to gain wisdom. So for me, wisdom is what we all seek.
Yes.
Accountability is a part of having wisdom because you learn
Mhm.
from other people. You have the support of other people. They may share their mistakes from you. They're going to share their mistakes. They're going to share their wins. They're going to share everything with you, and that's to your benefit. And that's how you make your next step, your big picture.
Mhm. Did I lose you?
No, I'm still here.
Okay, all right.
I'm still
It went
here.
out right on the end there. It sounded like it faded out, but I think it was just, you were wrapping it up. Yes, wisdom is what we all should choose because, like you said, who wouldn't want to save a little bit of time? I mean, just a little bit. If you see Johnny run and trying to jump over a fence, and you shorter than Johnny, what's the point of that? Why? Let me just open this gate right here and go off through this fence.
Right.
Like everything don't have to be hard. Everything don't have to be a whole challenge and exciting and a whole series on Hallmark. We don't have to cry over everything. Sometimes we can learn from other people's mistakes instead of having to go down that dark side road for no reason. I completely agree with that because I know there's some things that I have seen that I made that conscious decision. No, I'm not going to do it that way. And there's two different things between going your own way, be creative, and knowing in your gut that something can work for you. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying when you do see these things and there's something that you got to choose, and it's a concrete thing to do or not to do, and it's something you can learn. Take those lessons as they come, because everything has repercussion, a consequence, and if you see those consequences being lived through by other people, take it upon yourself to be like, okay, now how did you get that scrape on your knee? What did you do? Okay, so you jumped it. Oh, you lift on your left leg first. Okay, cool. I'm gonna lift on my right. You know what I mean?
Right. That part
Mhm.
right there. So,
Mhm.
another part I think of community, because that's what your BFF tribe
Oh yeah.
sounds like. Are they your tribe, or what do you call them? Because
Yeah,
community
I
or
just call them
tribe,
my
everybody has their own verbiage.
BFF. Yeah, I usually call them just my family. That's what I call them because that's what they are. They're my family. Like they're my blood brothers. You know what I mean? They're just, if they call me at 2 in the morning and I happen to be up, I'm answering. To me, that's family. If they need
Yeah, that's
me to,
right.
if they need to cuss a little bit, I'm not gonna judge them. That's family. You know what I mean? If they need a place to stay while they're in town, they can stay with me. That's family. Like, and I mean that, especially at this rate. Like now, one day it's gonna grow to thousands and thousands, and no, everybody can't just come through the house. No, I don't mean that. But like, I'm in that growing stage, and I'm in that building phase, and it feels so good to just have people that really believe in what I do and what I say, because I've been there and they've seen the tears and they've seen what heard the stories, and they feel the empathy, and I just feel for them as well, and I just make sure that everything that I have learned along the way, again, wisdom, learn from my mistakes, learn from the way I felt and how many years that I realized at one point in life that I was creating a world and believing a world that made me think that it was an easier choice to kill myself than to be myself. And I don't ever want anyone else to feel that way, because that is a horrible place to be in. So, yes, I call them my family, because as a family, we need to be our brothers and our sisters' keeper, and that is what I try to do every day within my BFF tribe.
So what's interesting is our talk about how people make decisions on their based on what other people expect of them.
Right,
What I
right.
often use as an analogy is when Trenace gets up in the morning and she goes
Mhm.
to her vanity, and I
Mhm.
look in the mirror, who I see staring back at me is me. So my
Right.
decisions are all based on me, how I think, how
Mhm.
I feel, how it's going to
Mhm.
affect me, because ultimately it affects me.
Right.
And that's,
Right.
I think, the best way to make decisions. Now,
Right.
I also have people that hold me accountable and that I can, be real with. Just be naked with and say, hey, this, that, and the other thing, and they'll say, yeah, okay. Well, no, it's crazy. So but ultimately, that's the analogy you need to consider. Anything, how it's me making this decision for me and my life.
Right.
Do I want to go to school for this? I'll never go back to school. Not school. I don't need another degree. School stifles my creativity. So anybody that says, I think you need to have a degree in such and such, no, that's not going to happen, because when I look at that mirror, I say,
right.
not for me.
That's what,
so
right.
I think that's another part of learning how to. I think I'm not trying to take over what you do, but I think that's a great part of because my brand is One Authentic Woman, and there's something authentic about being able to tell yourself the truth.
Yes,
because that's a part of trusting who you are, who you were created to be.
That is so good. One Authentic Woman. That right there is a mouthful in itself. Because one of my quotes, and I told you I was working on a book, which will hopefully coincide with the course coming out. But one of my quotes in my book is, individuality nowadays is as rare as abstinence. Because everybody want to do what everybody else do. Everybody want to get on the TikTok. Everybody want to do the whole Facebook and thing. And that's all well and good, because I tell you what, it has been such a blessing to have the advancements in technology that we have, because the world, even though we were shut in, for some reason I feel as though we did not miss a beat because of Zoom, because of FaceTime, because of Wi-Fi, because of all this 5G. And it's like everything has its negative repercussions, but so I'm very blessed. But I do also believe that in times like this, on the other side of that spectrum, there are people who feel alone, and the only way they find their comfort in themselves is through the lens of their social media outlet. And I want to make sure that when they look on the other part of that lens, that it's not something that's creating them to want to be superficial and put on another filter, but to be themselves and find a community that where they belong and where they feel wanted, validated, respected, but not having to put on another mask just to keep up with the Joneses. So have you seen the Netflix original, The Social Dilemma?
No, I have not.
Oh,
now,
that's
see, you
your next one.
So now you got to. Now I'm about to log into Netflix.
Yeah.
And what's that called?
Yes. Please do, and please shoot me a message when you get done with it, because I guarantee you're going to have plenty to say. And I suggest that to anybody. And I'm not a TV watcher. When Carrie has the TV on, I'm either watching one of two different things. I'm either watching some crazy crime show, whether it be Criminal Minds, Forensic Files, 48, the first 48, or I'm watching Golden Girls. That's it for me. I do throw in Andy Griffin every now and then, but that's it for me. But a friend of mine that I do trust recommended this documentary to me, and it is so amazing. And if I can, I'm going to intercept that number 3 that I have, because I was going to be like, that's not really fitting in, but it fits in perfect to these. It's the releasing of time suckers. Things will suck the time away from you if you let it. How many people, by a show of hands, sitting in your room right now with your PJs and underoos and eating Cheetos, hold your hands up if you ever got on Facebook, and before you know it, 2 hours of your life is gone. And you on somebody's boo-boo page that's got a new baby, and you're looking at the gender reveal, and you realize you don't even know who these people are. Because I've been there. We got to release a lot of these time suckers in our life. And social media can be one of those. And again, I'm not saying social media is a bad thing. What I am saying is, if you're not careful, it will be a bad thing. It won't be good, because you're just on there living vicariously through other people instead of making decisions for your life based on what your pain points are. And you will not know what that is if you're constantly feeding yourself with you're basically what you're doing is you're studying Connie and Sonia and Travis and Rita and Pookie and them. You're studying them. The definition of studying is to spend time within it, understanding it, and absorbing it. So if you're constantly on Facebook, that means you are studying other people's lives instead of your own. And this is why we don't make the best decisions. It's because we have not spent any time with ourselves because all these time suckers. How you feel about that, sis?
So how I feel about that is TV is a distractor. Social media is a distractor. It's also a choice that is something that you don't want to do. It's something that you don't want to look at. It's something that you don't want to investigate. So I use TV, and I'm going to say me. Since the pandemic, I'm going to tell you what I've learned about myself. What I've learned about myself is that I truly love these Asian series. That's what I've learned about myself during the pandemic. So the subtitles and all, and that's what I have watched during this pandemic. I have one right now that I'm watching. It's 60 episodes. So I make it about 2 episodes a day.
Okay.
2 episodes a day. But I got other stuff going on. I got business stuff. I still work my I call it my work job or my job work. I still do that. But there's nothing wrong with decompressing, taking some time to have that little distraction, but you still got to have what I call me time. And that me time, if you got a family, may look like you going to the bathroom and putting a do not disturb on there and staying in there if you got kids. It might look like going outside for a walk to invest in some time for you, because TV is all well and good, but it's also a distraction from you.
Right. Yeah.
Because there's only so much TV and Facebook you can do during this pandemic, because you got your husband in the house, you got your kids in the house, you may have your grandkids in the house. You all are in there. You have to relearn each other, because who you are right now and you all looking at each other every day is different than who you are when you have to go to work for 8 hours and come back and eat and get and may watch TV together in the bed. So that's different. That's completely different. Yeah. And I think sometimes we are afraid of who we may find out we are. So we invest in we study Bebe now on Facebook.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? And it's funny because you said you learned you like those Asian videos, and I've learned that I truly do like TV, because before now, like because we don't have cable, we don't do, because I really don't do TV. But boy, I tell you, it is a very, it's a very good way to decompress, because you literally go to another place. You're not worried about no pain. You're not worried about what you got to do. You got worried about what notifications are going off on your phone. You completely get to, because if it's something good that you're watching, you're completely consumed. You're there. You're in it. You're in the moment. But you, like you said, it goes back to the decision part, though. Make a decision that, hey, when I get done and I finish what I'm doing, I'm going to treat myself with this time to do whatever I want to do. And if that's just doing nothing and watching TV and eating some popcorn, hey, I earned this because I got my stuff done. But when you completely are confused and you don't know you have no idea what to do, because you spend so much time on social media or watching TV that you got your life confused with, somebody on a show, and that's one thing I noticed about people, especially when it comes to relationships. These little relationships on TV and online, honey, stop. Y'all know that's not realistic. Y'all know that's not realistic.
I don't know anybody like that. The people that maybe there are people like that, but the people that I'm connected to, they don't behave that way.
Right, exactly.
That just seems like fake to me.
About what people post. Just because I do my business online. So, yeah, and, you see that, taking polls about what you think about such and such, doing this to such and such. And I'm like, who are these people? And I'll like inbox. I'm like, who is this? And they're like, oh, that's on the show such and such. I'm like, you have got to be kidding. We are not taking a poll about people that ain't real. What are you doing? How's your relationship? Are you know? It baffles me. It baffles me, but it shows you the mentality of people, and they're more concerned about what someone's going to do when the script is already written for them, because they ain't real, only on paper, and they put a face to it on the screen, and we spend less time trying to figure out what am I passionate about, what are my dreams, what do I want to do to get closer to who I see myself being in 5 to 10 years from now. And we got our priorities all jacked up, you know, and I'm talking to me as well, because it doesn't matter what level you're on. Just because I don't watch TV, just because I don't get consumed with Facebook, sometimes, like, you know, when I have to check myself, it's when people within my realm are doing things, and they may be getting more advanced or going quicker than me, but you have to back up and say, hey, that's not my path. That's not my journey. And the sooner we do that, the sooner we get back on track and get more aligned with what we need to do, and we stop using our energy and our time looking at stuff that really does not pertain to us, whether it be TV, and whether it be social media, whether it just be your next door neighbor. Like, make sure that you are not, you know, wasting your time and having your energy sucked out of you by trying to compare yourself to other people and doing things the way other people do things. And I found that if I wasn't as disciplined as I was and didn't exercise my ability to control those habits, I would be right there. And I can see how it's so easy to do, because when I watch TV, I am completely consumed there.
So, what I want to ask you, what does next level look like to you?
Next level looks like to me, and I'm gonna say this on, you know, just the first thing that comes to my mind is I see my worldwide virtual community center. And when I say that, I mean worldwide. I don't mean throughout the United States. I mean throughout the entire globe. If you spin it, I want to have been there or impacted it or influenced it in some way. And not because I want the cloud of it, but because I want to leave the change. I want to leave the legacy of really impacting things in a positive way and giving people permission to be good, to be positive, to be authentic. I think a lot of people feel that they would be judged if they step outside of their norm, if they step outside of what their friends are doing, if they step outside of what the crew is doing, some things that may not be deemed cool or trendy or up to, you know, in date or whatever it is. You know, you always want to do the TikTok dance and you always want to do that. But when you get into your feelings, that's when it kind of turns people off. Like, man, get out of your feelings. And so I want people to know that it's okay to be in your feelings, because what are we if we're not our unique and genuine emotions? That is what gets us in touch with our passion. That is what gets us in touch with what we really want to do in life. And that next level, for me, is creating a safe space for us all to do that and impact the world in a way that we practice inclusion and not exclusion. Because that's what we're doing when we're trying to get everybody around us to try to be like us. That's what we're doing when we cave in to the expectations of the people for us to be like them. It's okay not to be like them. Matter of fact, it's necessary not to be like them, because we were all created to do something. And if we do not do it, it will not get done. So I want to create a space and a ripple effect for everybody to look inside of themselves, be their best friend first, and to see what just their next step is going to be in order for them to impact the world in a positive way, because I promise you it matters. You matter. Your goals matter. Your passions matter. And I want to create that worldwide community center so that when we say these terms like what is next level for you, what is up leveling, what is that best next move, that is something, you know, that makes sense. That's something that you hear on a regular basis. Because a lot of people, when you ask them stuff like that, they're like, what are you talking about? Like graduation or promotion at work? No, baby, I'm talking about next. what are you going to leave? What is your dash going to do in between the time that you were born and the time that you
That's
died?
right.
We died
That's
because
right.
none
That's
of us
right.
are getting out of this alive. None of us are getting out of this thing alive. So what you going to do in the meantime?
Okay, so we got 5 minutes. I want to use these 5 minutes
ma'am.
for you to give 3 takeaways and tell the people how they can get in contact with you.
Absolutely. Well, I'll go back to my 3 original things here, which is you gotta learn how to create space. Create some space in your life for better. And the 3 areas that I see the most beneficial right now that you can do is start to release your expectations. It's okay to have a plan and look at the big picture, but only focus on one stroke at a time. Release those expectations and just do what you know you need to do right now. Number 2, release some of those people. Take time to exfoliate your life and get rid of the residue of what other people have been telling you. Get rid of those people who don't serve you. Get rid of those people who are holding you back. And again, it doesn't mean you don't love them, but they just got to move. You got to create some space for some better people to be inserted in your life because God will do that for you. And 3, make sure you're releasing some of these time suckers. It's not just TV or social media. This could be going to the bar because that was my time sucker. And money sucker was going out because, you know, your girl like to have a good time. But I realized that I don't want to be, I don't want to be out here running around just having a good time with no purpose. I can put those 2 together. Instead of creating parties, I'm creating retreats. Instead of buying DJs for people to get down, I'm buying DJs for people to have a black and white tie event. You see what I'm saying? I can still do this, but I need to do it in a whole different way now. So I am your BFF coach. I am the one and only BFF coach. And if you guys want to get in touch with me, you can always find me on Facebook. I'm under Carrie Irene Crosby. You can inbox me anytime. I will tell you more about the coaching program that I have. I do have a subscription program that's a low cost. It's only $15 a month. It goes up to $30 in January, but it's my baby. It's my baby. So if you want more information, you can also email me at thebffcoach@gmail.com. I do lives every Sunday, every Thursday morning, and then I do lives inside the BFF subscription group as well. So, man, I tell you what, this has been a blessing. My soul is full. I thank you so much for having me on here today.
Good. Thank you so much for spending these 60 minutes with me and being like so last minute. How about I say you were dope? I almost slipped into some vernacular that almost slipped into some vernacular that wasn't even professional.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
So I want to definitely thank everybody for rocking with us this afternoon. I'm going to end like I always do. Be safe. Cover your mouth when you cough. Wear a mask if you have to be out. Don't be mad. Just put the mask on. The ultimate act of self-love is to stay in the house. And don't go out if you don't have to. Join me next Saturday on Next Level with Trenace. I love you. Be authentic. And see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Has anyone ever told you that you were a boy? Have they told you how valuable you really are? He gave you the moon, the stars, the sun. He gave you everything. He gave you the pearls, the fur, the diamond necklace, and the ring. He told you that you were his queen and that you two would never part. How many other women has he said that to? And then he broke your heart. Girl, I can't let you stay in this place. But that was so long ago. Can I tell you you're blessed? You have to remind yourself. Come on, say it with me. I'm more than a conqueror. You're more than a conqueror. Girl, you are so beautiful. 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 in
You're
all
so
your ways.
much more.
Let your light
than
shine.
Your words. Girl, you're so beautiful, 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 beautiful. Girl, you are so beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. He gave you everything. He gave you the pearl, the fur, the diamond necklace, and the ring. Eh, 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 eh.